Shabana Mahmood is now Home Secretary. Let that sink in for a moment. The minister who didn't even lift a finger to stop the release of Mohammed Shah Jahan, an Islamist terrorist convicted in the London Stock Exchange bomb plot, is now in charge of national security. When the parole board greenlit Shah Jahan's release, the Lord Chancellor at least had the backbone to oppose it. Mahmood? She didn't even bother turning up at the hearing. She shrugged it off as process and let a terrorist stroll back onto Britain's streets. And this is the woman now meant to protect the public. But it gets worse. Mahmood's track record as Justice Secretary was one long exercise in failure dressed up as reform. Remember the early prisoner releases? She waved through thousands because the prisons were collapsing. It sounds pragmatic until you check the numbers. Between January and March 2025, early releases via home detention curfews jumped 52% year on year. Recalls to custody spiked 39%. And here's the kicker. Nearly 9 in 10 recalls weren't even for new crimes. They were for technical breaches like missing a curfew or being 5 minutes late to a check-in. So dangerous offenders go free, but some poor sod who missed a phone call ends up back inside. That's Mahmood's justice system. Chaos, mismanagement, double standards. And now, suddenly, she's the no-nonsense Home Secretary. She's the one barking slogans like, send them packing, about asylum seekers and illegal migrants. It's all drama. She talks tough for the cameras, gives the tabloids their sound bites, and then hopes nobody looks too closely at her record for weakness. Because when it comes to the hard stuff, terrorists, prison reform, violent crime, she is nowhere to be found. Then there's her best mate, Sadiq Khan, London's eternal disappointment. The man has been knighted, though no one outside his inner circle can explain what on earth for. Under his watch, London crime has ballooned. Total offences jumped from 774,000 in 2016 to 938,000 in 2024. That's a 21% rise. Public transport crime is up 58%. Sexual offences hit 26,803 last year, up more than 7% in a single year. Rough sleeping surged by 23%, despite Khan's glossy pledge to eradicate it. And yet, he struts around as though London is thriving. But here's the real problem. Khan and Mahmood only really serve one demographic. That's the unspoken truth. Their policies, their speeches, their pandering, it's all carefully crafted to keep one particular voting bloc on side. Everyone else? Forgotten. Ordinary Londoners, hammered by rising crime, housing shortages and spiralling costs, don't get a look in. Victims of grooming gangs are ignored because they don't fit the narrative. Knife crime victims' families get brushed aside while Khan insists London is safe. The working class families who keep this country running are treated like an afterthought. What you end up with is government by pandering. They build their careers on appeasing the same narrow group over and over and over, and the rest of Britain pays the price. Mahmood's appointment isn't about competence. It's about loyalty to Starmer and signalling to her chosen demographic that she's one of them. Khan's whole career is the same story. Posture, pander, ignore the uncomfortable truths, and cling to power. Together, they're the political equivalent of smoke and mirrors. Mahmood didn't fight to keep terrorists behind bars. She ushered prisoners out the back door while crime rose. Khan presides over a city where crime is spiraling, transport feels unsafe, and homelessness keeps climbing. Yet both of them walk tall, buoyed by the same demographic that guarantees their survival at the ballot box. And the rest of us? We're collateral damage. We're the ones living with the fallout. Terrorists walking free, criminals back on the street, sexual assaults climbing, transport crime rising, rough sleepers on every corner. While they grin for the cameras, pat each other on the back, and keep their chosen base happy, the majority of Britain is left to fend for itself. This isn't leadership. It's not even politics in the old sense of compromise and coalition. It's careerism. It's pandering. It's governing for one group while leaving the rest to rot. And now the woman who couldn't be bothered to stop a terrorist release gets to call the shots on national security. Pair up with Khan, and you've got a clown show with real-world consequences. I've said this before, and I'll say it again and again. Britain deserves leaders who serve the whole country, not politicians who treat public safety as a game of optics and demographics. Mahmood's appointment is proof that we're not getting that anytime soon.